So it is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, and I found myself with a couple hours. I'm gonna steal home and get into the puppets a little bit, the figures. From now on, I'm gonna call them figures because I don't think that puppets is the correct terminology. Some of them are definitely designed as puppets, but others are just kind of posable figures. And I got into Google a little bit and did some research, and I think unless they were intended to be manipulated with strings, which some of them are because the arms are left without wires, or hand puppets or a rod, then they are not a puppet technically. They are a doll or a posable figure. Posable figure sounds a little more masculine to me, and Bill was definitely a manly man, so I'm not going to call them dolls. So they're posable figures, but really they're just the expression of creativity. And much like seeing Billville, the fort city that he started building out behind his place up there in Ohio, I sort of get where he's coming from. His outlet was definitely creating. For me, that's music, you know, and but I can relate. And I have a little small history with stop motion animation, and I'm going to apply what little bit that I know about building stop motion animation characters and armatures, and take that and kind of apply it to the better pieces and see if we can get some things that we could either animate or just pose a little bit better than the original design. Now, mind you, this is better than I could have done, particularly back when we didn't have Hobby Lobbies, you know, around. There was a particular kind of wire that Bill used in most of his early figures that is somewhat posable, but really to pose it, you almost need two pairs of pliers, so it's not super posable. And that conflicts with the way he interfaced the foam hands, foam feet, and foam heads, hard foam. At times, if you don't grab it just right, and so you grab the head and try to position it, you'll just wallow out the housing. So I have an approach to fixing that I'm going to try to pioneer maybe even today, and I'm going to look at that. Fortunately, there were some unfinished foam block heads that don't have bodies, so one of the first things I'm probably going to do is take those and maybe build out bodies for one or two of those, and just kind of get what I think the correct technique is down to a little bit more of what I know, and then we can focus on fixing some of these pieces up. And I mean, there might even be a scenario where I build a proper wire armature with hardened bones, so that the bending and posing is always anatomically more correct, and take some of the better pieces. And if there's a way to unfasten, a lot of the fur is glued, hot glued. I'm going to experiment with taking that off. One of the really cool looking characters is a Sasquatch, for example. Unfortunately, what I mentioned earlier about the interfacing with the hard foam, it's really a problem with that figure. And there's actually an extra set of feet, so I might try to recreate a body for that character, and I'll see if it's possible to use the existing fursuit basically to go on it, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's gonna just be as I find the time. I mean, I'm definitely inspired by all the work that Bill left, and I want to do it justice, so I kind of have to wait until the time's right. My granddaughter is super into the idea of playing with these puppets. Of course, she doesn't know how to work on them, but she loves having her hands on them, and in some cases I gotta be careful because there's pins and sharp things, but generally speaking, she's really interested in them, which of course fires me up to fix them and, you know, have them be as cool as they can be. But anyway, let's see how this goes. We'll see if we can start restoring the figures that need restoring, and cleaning them all up, and setting about the good work of building the Bill Herman Conservatory. So ask me how I know that this is the knight that goes on the horse, his arm is already posed perfectly to hold the rein. So that has to be him, because there are quite a few knights. But that's the guy that goes on the horse. And check out this horse. I can tell the idea was an earlier one, because yeah, he's using like pipe hand construction, and all the armor is kind of exclusively tin can thickness cans, it looks like. Here, like the stripe, he used tape. So that's like a kitchen mat, it looks like. Fascinating usage of just whatever was at hand, and I really like it. Very cool. Together again, look at that. Found the match to the male bee up here.